Well, it was a great season for the Williston Red Devils. It wasn't the way they wanted it to end, but you know what? They came here and they played very hard in the Lakeland Center in the Class 3A state semifinals against two-time defending champion Pinecrest. Unfortunately for the Red Devils, they were on the wrong end of a 77-63 game. Pinecrest, obviously everybody knows who they were led by. Brandon Knight, quite possibly the #1 player in the country, had 25 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. He did have 7 turnovers, and that's a big thing Williston did very well today. They forced 35 turnovers from Pinecrest, which is something the Panthers coach David Beckerman said is totally his team is not used to doing. They did not look good there today. However, making up for that was Pinecrest's work on the boards. They had 56 rebounds, Williston only 29, and it was quite obvious when you watched the game that the Red Devils were having a difficult time rebounding. They were getting no second chances. They were throwing up some wild shots. They did not shoot very well, less than 30% for the game. First half was even worse than the second half. They shot about 25% in the first half. But they played very, very hard. Jaquez Edwards had a really nice game with 18 points. Deontay Welch was his usual self. Didn't shoot very well, was only 6 of 17 from the floor, but he did have 12 points. He had 9 rebounds, had 3 assists, 3 steals. Typical game for him. If you haven't seen Deontay in his high school career, you missed out. One of the area's very best football players. One of the most consistent basketball players in the area, a definite candidate for our overall athlete of the year for our newspaper. He had a nice game. Isaac Floyd, 10 points for Williston. You know, they played awfully hard. Coach Steve Faulkner was proud of his team. You know, this is a group that has gone through a lot this year. On the court, they're 26-6. Overall, actually, they're 8-24. They had to forfeit 19 games. You know, broke the kids' hearts when it happened, but it was just something they had to work through, and they did very well. And they only lost 1 game in the regular season. After that, that was to the Rock, which was the area's best team. They came back, won all the way until they got here and ran into Pinecrest. And like I said, Brandon Knight, a big key tonight, like I mentioned, was the work on the boards. And I got to mention the big men, Tevin Westbrook and Matt Milk for Pinecrest. They combined for 26 rebounds. Williston as a team had 29. So that tells you what those 6'8", 6'7" guys down low were doing. They were very, very disciplined defensively. Williston drove to the basket very hard throughout the game, and those guys, instead of jumping and trying to block shots or moving their arms forward, stood straight up, and they're obviously taught very well. Williston was probably hoping for a little bit more of an undisciplined approach on their end, and Pinecrest did not accommodate there. Still, you know, you give the Red Devils some credit. First Final Four in school history, most successful team in school history. Forget the record. What they did on the court was pretty magical, and they got a lot coming back. They only lose a few seniors, and a lot of the bulk of the talent's coming back. They've got a really, really good shot to get back here next year. And guess what happens next year? Brandon Knight's gone. I'm John Patton with the Gainesville Sun. Thanks for joining us.